Ben, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for sitting down and doing this. Really appreciate it. It's already a bit strange. So I've got some questions for you in regards to the coaching we've been doing. Just for context, we first started doing coaching in September 2020. We just realized, which is absolutely disgusting, that it's now kind of like May 2022. So that's horrendous. So it's been a little while, and then you've been a part of the academy over the past, I guess, since it joined. But we started off doing one-to-one coaching. Now, first question I have for you is, what attracted you towards doing the coaching with me in the first place? Like, what was it, I guess, either that you'd seen in me or what was happening at the time that made you feel like it was a good fit?
Yeah, I think first and most importantly, I did not have a clue what I was doing. Okay. I sort of fell into running or creating a cleaning business. No real experience of running a business prior to this, although being in sort of businessy environments, and really an opportunity to have someone to lean on for advice and guidance, input, were what really stood out for me. In terms of working with you specifically, working with Jamie specifically, it was a sales approach that I would have used in terms of friendly, not pushy, engaging, both in terms of, well, what transpired to be the content, but the way that you approached me initially to work with me, and no pressure. And that is what suited me.
What's really interesting is I never asked you this question, so we've sat down to do this, but I don't know what you're going to say. It's actually really nice. I appreciate that. Thank you. Cool. And then,
to a degree, I don't know what I'm going to say either.
no, I'm sure. We'll figure it out. And I can heavily edit this if needed, so don't worry about it. You mentioned that you felt like you didn't know what you were doing. So talk about what was happening at the time. Like, how long had you been going? What areas of the business were going well, but what areas did you feel like needed more support? Just give me kind of a bit of, and people watching this at a later date in the future. Hello, people watching this in the future. But what was happening at the time?
So we started around August 2019. Obviously, a pandemic hit in March 2020. We were in a position where we just started relying on commercial contracts for offices and so forth. So our revenue dipped to zero for a few months. It kind of gave me the creeps a bit, and I didn't want to be in a position where I was left with zero again. I thought it's important that we grow, and through that, what I need to put in place in terms of processes, systems, how to generate new business in an industry I'd not worked in before. Whereas previously, when I'd had different sales roles, I had a sales manager that were telling me, so these are the clients, these are your sort of client A, client B, client C's, and so forth. And yeah, it was just to get that all-round guidance about how to drive forward in something I've not done before.
Cool. And what was the experience like of doing the coaching?
Really good. You know, I mean, it was always structured but informal. I think it helps that we get on, but you seem like a person that most people can get on with. So that's always a good starting point. But yeah, the structure was a big thing. Me personally, I'm someone that struggles with structure, accountability. So if someone can push that onto me, which when you're running your own business, you don't really have, that's a big plus.
Cool. Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I had a lot of fun with our coaching. It's always, I like to make things fun. I like to make it a laugh. But yeah, we go on great, and I think that we've had a lot of fun doing it as well. So yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look, it's not a fun job cleaning.
No, it's not.
There's not many areas of your day to day where it's fun.
Yeah.
So I'll take what I can.
I want things to be fun, lighthearted, engaging. That doesn't mean that we don't take the results seriously, right? It's just that how fun are you doing it? Like, what's the point if you're not having fun? I think that's a big part of it. So since that time, talk about some of the wins that you've had. I guess through the initial one-to-one coaching stint that we had, and then also being a part of the academy. So if we're looking from September 2020 to now, and it's the end of April now, 2022. So talk about some of the wins that you've had since we first started.
Yeah. I mean, Granted, I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, there might be a slight skew in results because of the timing of COVID, but we're now in a position where 3 years into the business, we've had 3 years of almost double growth every year.
Wow.
I'm hoping we can go into a fourth year of doing that. Let's see. Other wins, are to different avenues for outbound leads, really. Things like using LinkedIn, following up, the whole sort of sales funnel process, which I've got experience in before, but again, that were led by someone for me.
Yeah.
I came into this on my own, not really, although I understood it, not really sure how to implement it. So systemization's helped a lot. Even things like making sure we're always using the same products, we always book jobs in the same way, pay, accounting, updating cash flow, all these kind of things, get them systemized, get them working for you. It's less time, it's less stress, it's more information.
Yeah, for sure. And you've had some pretty big wins, because we looked at LinkedIn as well in the one-to-one sessions and everything, and you've won a few contracts we're talking about on LinkedIn as well, right?
Yeah, some quite sizable big wins actually. We've won a couple of hotel contracts, which actually something that we're now working on ended up being too big a slice of the pie for us as a business. So now the work sort of pivoted after them good wins in terms of bringing the reliability on them hotels down, and there's less risk associated to that of the contract, but still making sure that we're doing a really great job from that we've been doing for the last 18 months.
Yeah. And not to go into too much detail, but you've had some pretty significant life events happening, some really exciting stuff, right? But you've got a cleaning company that you've been able to take paternity leave, you've been able to have some time where you're not focused entirely on the business, you're not out on the tools all the time.
Yeah, I decided to do everything at once. Obviously a pregnancy takes a lot longer than a month, but in space for a month we moved house, decorated the new one, emptied the old one, moved into the new one, baby arrived, and then now we're fortunate enough to be able to take a form of paternity. Still running a business, but by no means as hands-on or as involved as I would normally be or want to be, but I enjoyed being able to spend that time with my new family.
Yeah, but it's also because you put the work in and you systemized it and you got it to the point where you could run the business like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Dependent on you.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of time, all I had to do was check for a notification on my phone that someone's clocked in, check for a notification that they've clocked out, and they swipe on it, check they've done all the jobs, and that were it.
Yeah, amazing. So when you look at where you were before you started and where you kind of look at where you are now, in terms of that transformation, you mentioned before, felt like you didn't really know what you were doing, but now you're in this position with the business, pretty huge transformation.
Massive, yeah. I mean, we've spoke about imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud.
Yeah.
But truth is, when we started working together, it was myself and two other people.
Yeah.
We're now employing a team of 10, looking to grow that to 20 at least by end of summer. And we're a 6-figure business.
Mad, absolutely mad. You've done, honestly, it's so good to see. But you've achieved a hell of a lot in a short space of time. For anyone that's thinking about either doing one-to-one coaching with me or joining the academy, and they're thinking about it, they're interested, but they're kind of on the fence and they're wondering, is this going to be the right fit for me? What would you say to those people based on your experience?
Do it. I'm sure you won't mind me saying I ignored you at first when you first reached out to me.
Never forgot.
That probably resulted in us wasting 2, maybe 3 months where we could have started working together. But there's no way, without the work that we've done together, that we could have had the growth that we've had over the last nearly 3 years.
Yeah. And
probably the growth might not be double again. It might be more. We don't know. Got to put the work in.
I think.
But I won't be in this position now. Definitely.
That's really kind of you to say. But also, I mean, I'm not taking responsibility by any stretch, because the amount of work that you've put in, how hard you've grafted, and everything you've built, you've been, it sounds really cliche, but you've been like an ideal client, right? Like you've tools and you've implemented them, and you've done the things that we spoke about, but you're the one that did it. Like, you put the work in, like, you got yourself there, and yeah, you've done an amazing job.
Thank you, mate. I mean, that is a really important thing that you've said there. You as a person have got to put it in. You know, whether a prospective new client for you is, but you know, you give us the framework, we just put it all in place. I've put it in place.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a couple of tweaks here and there. We probably disagreed on a couple of things, but that's part and parcel of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's not easy to do.
No.
On the one hand, we're an industry where anyone can start. That's great, but on the other hand, we're also an industry where anyone can fail.
Yeah.
And it's about making sure you've got the right structure in place to make sure you don't fail.
Yeah, well said, Ben. Well said. Well, look, I really appreciate taking the time. Really, I honestly really, really appreciate you sitting down and doing this. You didn't have to, so really appreciate it. And thanks very much, Ben.
No, thank you, mate.